Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. We're going to carry on with our meditation on the crown chakra. And as usual, we're going to start with a pranayama that will help us to balance the energies in the crown chakra, but also helps us to ground ourselves into our body, into the posture, and into the breath. We're going to do Nadi Shodhana. If you've never done Nadi Shodhana before, it is the two peace fingers pressing onto your third eye between the eyebrows, covering the right nostril. Inhale through the left. Cover the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Cover the right. Exhale through the left. And we do this in repetitive cycles. We do it and find a rhythm that feels comfortable, feels good for our lungs. Sometimes we tend to inhale too much or exhale too much, or inhale too quick, exhale too quick. So you want to find a rhythm that works for you. And then once we've done a few rounds and we found a rhythm that feels comfortable and flows naturally, we start working on retention. Retention is inhale through the left, hold the breath, exhale through the right, hold, inhale through the right, hold, exhale through the left, hold, and so on. The holding as well has to be a comfortable holding. So start by holding maybe just for a count of 3 or 4, and then if there is space to hold for a little bit longer, you can. But from the moment you start to strain your lungs and strain your breathing, it's not the best anymore, you know. Then it starts to become this kind of intense struggle around the breathing. And you want to then maybe match the timing. So if you inhale for a count of 7, exhale for a count of 7 or a bit more, usually the inhales are quicker. Actually, the other way around. The exhales are quicker because they take less effort. The inhale takes longer. So we usually do longer inhales and quicker exhales. And what we want actually, in order to balance the nervous system and in order to calm us down, we want the opposite. We want the inhale to be, let's say, a count of 7, and the exhale to be for a count of 8 or 9. The longer the exhale, the more relaxed we are, and the more it activates into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is more of a relaxation state. So before we start into Nadi Shodhana, just get into your pose, close the eyes, and just breathe deeply. Just settling into the posture. Noticing your breath. And now we can start Nadi Shodhana. Nadishodhana is a pranayama that helps us to balance our nervous system, to balance the right side of the brain with the left side of the brain. The right side is a bit more creative and a bit all over the place, and the left side is a bit more structured and more contained. And through our day-to-day, through our lives, we go from one to the other. Sometimes we spend more time on the right side of the brain, sometimes more on the left. Depending on our personalities, we have the tendency to be more on the right side or more on the left. And apart from these psychological benefits of Nadi Shodhana, there is also the anatomy, the benefit that it brings to our lungs, to improving our lung capacity, which most of the time we only use 20% on our day-to-day life. Finish the round you're in and then start to add the retention. These long, deep inhales and long, deep exhales combined with retention engage into the muscles around the lungs, the muscles of the lungs, the walls of the rib cage, the chest, the heart. And sometimes we don't even think about these muscles that also need to be worked because we don't see it. We tend to forget them. And find an equilibrium with your breathing. In the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali, there is a sutra which is Sthira Sukha Asanam. The posture should be steady and comfortable. And Patanjali is referring to the meditation posture. But the same applies to pranayama. It should be steady with ease, comfort, a balance between effort and ease. Finish the round you're in, do one more. And once you finish, you can just rest in this posture. Nothing to do. Just enjoying the benefits of your pranayama. The shifts on energy. Noticing the energy in the feet or legs or upper body. Or perhaps even the heartbeat. Whatever it is, choose one thing for you to zoom in. Notice the texture, the feel. Envelope yourself into that area or into that feeling. And there's nothing to do. And if the mind gets distracted, we just need to keep bringing ourselves back into this present moment where we feel our body. We feel the effects of the pranayama. And it is through this practice of meditation, being present with what's happening here and now, that we balance the energies of Sahasrara, the crown chakra. Sahasrara means 1,000 petals lotus flower. And in the same way that the lotus is born from the bottom of the pond or the lake, murky, dark waters. It rises to the top of the water. Through those murky and dirty and dark waters. And when it gets to the top, it opens up. The 1,000 petals open. Through the meditation practice, we work through rising our Kundalini, which is the serpent, that it's dormant in the bottom of the spine. We do the work to balance the root chakra in the pelvic floor area, Muladhara, moving into the sacrum, Svadhisthana, solar plexus, Manipura, the heart chakra, Anahata, the throat chakra, Vishuddha, third eye, Ajna. And as we balance all the 7 chakras, or all the 6 chakras, the serpent is awakened and rises up to the 7th chakra, in the same way that the flower of lotus rises through the dark waters into the light. Our being also rises through the challenges of life into the light of Sahasrara. In this 7th chakra of the color purple, we find the energy of understanding, awakening, enlightenment. Where we understand that we are part of something much bigger. Where we awaken to the power within us. And as human beings, we have a highly sophisticated consciousness that allows us to talk, see, feel, learn, think, plan, recognize faces, store memories. We are capable of capturing a great detail of the world around us. But think of a body as the hardware. And the mind, the software. Like in a computer or in a mobile phone, you need all the parts to make it work. Then you need a software in order to operate the equipment. In a mobile phone, telephone numbers or music or pictures or apps would be your software. In a computer, you have your browser, your Word, your Excel, the software that runs in the back to allow your computer to switch on. Our body is the hardware. The mind is a software that has been programmed to learn, to speak, to understand family, bad or right or yellow, blue. But without energy, the mobile phone or the laptop or the computer can't really survive. Once the battery runs out, if there's nothing to charge the battery of those equipments, then they are useless. With our chakras, it's the same thing. We need to balance the energies in the chakras in order to allow the natural function of the body, mind, and consciousness. And whilst we have the architecture of the body with bones and muscles and nerves and tendons and skin and connections, the chakras allows us to find the architecture of the soul. And Sahasrara opens the door to understand our soul. The element of Sahasrara is silence. Because in the midst of all the noise around us, distractions, people talking, cars, airplanes, TVs, radios, worries, overthinking, the challenge for the consciousness to stay centered is much greater. Bringing more silence to our lives allows the consciousness to stay centered, in balance. So sometimes sitting for meditation doesn't have to be a challenge of making the mind stop thinking or setting ourselves up for forcing something. But it can be simply just bringing more silence into that moment. You can bring your hands together, start to rub the hands. Create some heat between your palms. Cup the hands into the eyelids, allow the heat to come through the eyelids. 2 more times. Slowly, gently starting to open the eyes, get used to the light. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening. Namaste.